Hey, McKenna. Hey guys, that's Flash hanging up there. He is chilling and getting ready to meet some guests, and we're gonna feed them. Once we start to feed Flash, it'll liven up a little bit. Right now, he's just waiting on his breakfast. Guys, we are located in Benton, Tennessee. This is Flash. He is a two-fingered sloth, and we are located in Benton, Tennessee. So if you've ever wanted to come to an awesome place and learn a bunch about sloths, you can do that here. We're gonna feed Flash here in just a minute. That's the reason he's like, do you have food? I'm ready to eat. He's always ready to eat. And Tatum is actually behind this door right here feeding Zoe. And we'll get to see Zoe here in a little bit. Zoe's birthday was December 16th. So she is 14 months old. Happy Valentine's Day to her. Hope everybody's having a great Valentine's Day. If you're still looking for something awesome to do, we still might have some availability this weekend. And then also you can always get a gift certificate. A lot of people ask about his hair. It does feel pretty soft. It's not quite as soft as ours, but it's really close. I think we're about to get started, guys. Hey, we are located in Benton, Tennessee, halfway between Chattanooga and Knoxville. Why don't we hold this sloth? Because he has never been held, and we don't force anything on our animals. But we have another sloth that you can hold, which is Zoe and also Dash. So keep watching, guys. You're going to get to learn a lot. You guys check out the new cool mural we just got. Pretty lucky. I think it looks a lot better. And then also I can change the lighting just a little bit so it's not as harsh. I think Flash likes it a lot more too. Thanks, Kimmers. Good morning in Fort Wayne, Indiana. How's the weather up there? We've been having a little bit of cold weather, but it's finally straightened out, so we're not about to freeze anymore. Awesome, Ray. You'll love it. There's a ton of stuff to do here. We have over 125 animals. And we also have lodging too. So we have covered wagons that are heated and cooled. They're right along the banks of the Ocoee River. We do horse rides now too. So if you've ever wanted to take an awesome horse ride and take a tour of the property, that's a great way. You're from the Netherlands. That's awesome, Annie. Good morning. Or I guess in the Netherlands, is it night over there? Not sure what time it is. But thank you for watching. Guys, they're getting ready to come in. They're gonna get to see Flash for the first time.
On witness protection, or told your boss you're sick today, nothing like that? All right, do they know that they can watch you live on TikTok?
No.
You want to message them real quick?
Yes.
TikTok or Facebook, we're live on both of them.
Okay.
And Instagram.
So if your friends want to watch it, oh, I didn't know you could be live on Instagram. I need my coffee so I can be live on everything.
You guys are welcome over there. It is totally fine. He's not gonna reach out and grab you. Just don't put your fingers. Yep. He's a chill guy. He's waiting on some breakfast.
Oh, yeah?
Who isn't, right?
Right. Well, I got a protein shake.
I got my coffee. All right, guys, so here's the rules of the game. You're welcome to sit, you don't have to sit. This is food. This is not food. This one you stick in his mouth, this one you don't. Don't put this in his mouth, don't put it in my mouth. Either one of us are gonna bite you if you stick your finger inside of our mouth. His vision is terrible and he cannot see the difference between these two things. So when you go to feed him, you feed him just like this. Hey, Bubba. Come here. Good morning, Flash. Oh, who's a good boy. All right. And I'm gonna show you one thing real quick here that we're gonna talk about later. A two-toed sloth is very, very flexible. So you'll see that he can rotate all the way around until his hips and his shoulders are 180 apart. He's a little lazy this morning, doesn't want to turn. But trust me, he can turn until his hips and his shoulders are 180 out from each other, more like that.
Yeah.
And there he goes, and we're gonna talk about why that is in a minute. And this is his breakfast. You guys are gonna feed him his breakfast, and I'm gonna tell you some things about sloths that you probably don't know. And this part is gonna last for about 30 minutes, and then you're gonna go on to the VIP part of it. So Flash, and you guys are welcome to stand approximately this close to him to take your pictures and selfies and whatever. And if you hold a piece of food, he won't come up away from you. And you're welcome to pet him, but he likes to be petted like this, at the speed of a sloth. He doesn't like to be scratched. He doesn't like you to rub his hair the wrong way. So I gotta get back to the speed of a sloth. Oh, I'm all amped up this morning. So Flash is a sloth. Flash is a two-toed sloth. Specifically, he's a two-toed Linnaeus sloth. Alive in the world today, there are two-toed sloths and three-toed sloths. They're starting to call them two-fingered and three-fingered because they all have three on the back feet where their toes would be. Two-fingered have two on the front where their fingers would be. Three-fingered have three on the front. Other differences between the two types of animals: a three-fingered sloth has 9 vertebrae in their cervical spine between their skull and their shoulders. And a two-fingered has 5 in their cervical spine. So a three-fingered is going to turn its head around, more like an owl, 270. A three-toed sloth has 3 vertebrae of a tail. A two-toed has no tail. So the 4 that are missing from here and the 3 that are missing from there are in between the hips and the shoulders of the two-toed sloth. And that's why the two-toed sloth, this is shoulders and this is hips, can turn until his hips and his shoulders are 180 apart. A three-toed doesn't turn so much in the body, they turn more in the head. And the two-toed sloths are somewhat bigger and somewhat quicker than a three-toed sloth, but they are not track stars by any stretch of the imagination. So to describe a two-toed sloth as quicker than anything, you could only be talking about a three-toed sloth. Collectively, they are the slowest mammals in the world. So sloths are slow. Sloths are famously slow, but sloths are slow in ways that you don't think about a sloth being slow. So they're slow not only in their movement, which if you read online, it'll tell you a sloth can only go 12 feet per minute. I've seen these guys move at least 40 feet per minute, because inside of this enclosure right here, which is where he lives, he does not live in this kitchen, that goes up 20 some feet. And when we open the door and say, "Hey, Flash," he comes scurrying right down through the door onto this pole in about 30 seconds. So that would have to be about 40 feet per minute. But you know, it could be that online they're talking about distance speed, not sprint speed maybe. And I'm happy to take pictures for you if you want to stand on both sides of them and get a picture. I'm happy to be your photographer.
Sweet.
But yeah, no worries. So if you give him a little piece of food and you turn him a little bit this way, the background is a little better when it's not just the white door behind you. You can step in nice and close to him and get some good pictures. You can step all the way in. He is not going to bite you unless you stick your finger in his mouth. He's not looking to bite you, and neither am I. There you go.
We wouldn't give you a good review.
Yeah, and it is all about the review around here.
She's got a presence online, like a bunch of friends. I don't have anybody.
Yeah. We're at about, so Kevin is our social media guy, and we're at about 150,000 on Facebook and about 110 on TikTok. But on the average day, we get at least 50,000 views on our morning sloth encounter. So yeah, but we love to spread and let people be interested in sloths. Now I do, towards the start, I think he's been on for a little bit, so there might already be people on. I usually wait till there's more people on to give my morning disclaimer. Well, there's not hardly anybody on yet, so I'll wait a little bit to give you the disclaimer about don't buy a sloth. So, which is an important thing. So sloths are slow not only in their movement, they're slow in their digestion, their metabolism, their metabolic processes. They are slow in every way that an animal can be slow. So slow in their digestion. A sloth eats a ridiculous, crazy amount of food every day, but it's very low quality food. You're like, where's my breakfast, woman?
Friend, I'm sorry.
So he eats a ridiculous, crazy amount of food every day. So a sloth is eating 10% of its body weight on a daily basis. So put that to human perspectives. I weigh 180. That's me rolling into Outback and saying, bring me 18 of those 16-ounce porterhouse steaks and plowing through them all, right?
Imagine, man.
Cannot. Even though they eat a crazy, tremendous amount of food, they go to the bathroom only 3 or 4 times a month, about every 7 to 10 days. So suppose that the sloth ate, yeah, right? Suppose the sloth ate 10% of its body weight every day for 10 days before it went to the bathroom and doesn't go for 10 days.
Doubles in weight.
Yep, not exactly, but yes. So he has eaten 100% of his body weight since he last went to the bathroom, and that's solid and liquid at the same time. Doesn't even tinkle in between. So when he goes to the bathroom, which Zoe did last night, they lose 1/3 of their body mass when they go to the bathroom. So they metabolize their food very thoroughly. So if they have eaten 100% of their body mass and they eliminate 33% of their body mass, that means that they did metabolize, as in convert from food to energy, 2/3 of what they ate. It's just that what they eat is super low quality. So this guy particularly, in the mornings, he's going to eat 7 ounces of fruit and veggies, mainly veggies. And then throughout the day, he has free choice on a pound of leaves and some biscuits that are good for his teeth and a couple of things like that. Mainly spinach. So the sloth, as he is digesting that food, he has a very complex digestive system. He has a multi-chambered stomach, not separate stomachs like a cow does, but chambers of his stomach. And he does a whole lot of work on the food in the process of digestion because he is eating, primarily leaves. Leaves are a whole lot of cellulose. Cellulose, I'm glad that didn't break. Cellulose is hard to digest and not so nutritious. So he is eating lots of food and going to the bathroom rarely. Now about the bathroom habits, when a sloth is in the top of a tree, he is entirely safe from predators with the exception of eagles. The only predator that can get to him in the top of the tree is an eagle. You see this guy is long and slender. He weighs about 15 pounds. So when he's up in the tops of the trees, he'll go all the way out to the ends of the branches and stay out there. Then if a large predator was going to follow him out the branch won't support the predator for near as far out as it will support the sloth. If the predator, like a large cat, pressed the issue to where the branch broke and they both fell 100 feet to the rainforest floor, the slinky-like sloth is likely to survive the fall. The cat is very unlikely to survive the fall. So the sloth is going to look over at the cat and he's going to say, ha, ha, and back up the tree he will go. Yeah, they do everything. So like if we're late one morning for any reason, the sloth will be in here beating the tar out of the door like this. Oh yeah. And the shade is down. If the shade was up, you'd see the smears all over his side of the glass where he's got his nose in the door going,
Yeah, where's
come
my
on,
food?
come on, where's my people? Where's my... Yeah, so he enjoys the people. He enjoys the food too, but we interact with all our animals in the way that they're comfortable with. And if on a rare occasion he doesn't feel like playing along on a certain day, it's fine. This same food that he gets if he interacts with people goes in his dish in there. He does not, there's no repercussion for him not feeling like playing on a particular day. We just pull out a different sloth.
Sure.
Yeah.
But,
How many do
So-
you have?
3,
3.
yeah. So he's entirely safe in the top of the trees, and yet he comes all the way down the tree, same side of the tree, and goes poop on the same pile that he always goes on. Now, if you watch, when he moves his hands, he reaches out all slow,
Right.
and then he comes back
Comes
quick.
back quick, yeah.
This is his relaxed state, this is his exertion state.
Gotcha.
We'll talk more about that later, but specifically his feet, this is relaxed, clamped down like that. This is exertion, opening up like that. So that's why they can hang forever. We'll just say that now since I'm already on the topic. So he can hang from this tree for days. And that is because for us, if we're hanging from a bar in PE class when we were young, we could remember that a minute is a long time to do a 2-arm hang, right?
Right.
And that's because this is our stress or exertion state. This is our relaxed state. The sloth is the opposite. This is his relaxed state, clamped down.
Yeah.
This is his exertion state, opening up. It is so true that a sloth is exerting no energy to hang in the tree, that if a sloth died, he would not necessarily fall. He could continue to hang there for days until something rotted or until something knocked him out of the tree.
Are you done?
All right, so, no, he'll eat all of it.
No.
All right, so I was saying that, and you guys are welcome to interrupt me, ask a question, anything, anytime. So as the sloth goes to the bathroom, he comes down the same tree, same side of the tree, poops in the exact same place that he always poops in. So as the study of sloths moves forward, you know, in many ways we start with stupid ideas and move forward to decent ideas and end up with correct, or what we currently believe are correct ideas. And so the anonymous, fat chance. So the sloths, when they go to the bathroom, the first theory on why a sloth risks his life to come down the tree and poop straight on the ground instead of just letting it rip from wherever he is, the first theory was they're just neat animals. Well, obviously that makes no sense. You risk your life to be neat, right?
Yeah.
What does he care what's 100 feet below him? So then the second theory was he's fertilizing his own tree. Again, this makes no sense. If he lets it rip from anywhere in the canopy of the tree, it's going to fall
Fertilize it,
above
right.
the root system of the tree. So it doesn't really matter where it lands, right? So we now understand there's one known fact and a couple of theories. So we now understand that the reason that the sloth comes down the tree to go to the bathroom is the sloth-moth symbiotic relationship. And now it's a little Dr. Seuss. I will surely trip over the word sloth, moth, moss, moss, moth, sloth a couple of times. And so the reason that they do is that they have a symbiotic relationship with the sloth, with the moths. There is a type of moth in the world called a sloth moth that lives nowhere on Earth except in the fur and in the waste pile of a sloth. So symbiotic. Symbiotic means beneficial to both sides of the equation, where parasitic would mean beneficial beneficial to one, neutral or harmful to the other.
Building a little house.
Yep. So the benefit to the moth is that the sloth is the food source and the living environment of the moths. The moths will live their entire life on the sloth or in the sloth's waste pile. The only reasons that they will leave the sloth in their life is to drink water that pools up in a leaf up at the top of the canopy, or that's his favorite thing in the dish. She's like
Save
me,
it for
save
last.
the best for last.
That's
You know
like
it.
dessert.
So he'll drink this. The moth will fly away to drink water that pools up in the leaves in the top of the canopy, and they'll leave the sloth to lay eggs in the waste pile. So when the sloth comes down the tree, the moths will fly down off the sloth and lay eggs in the waste pile, and the oldest ones will lay there and die. The younger ones will fly back up onto the sloth for another go around. From there, it's row, row, row your boat in around, because this week's eggs are next week's larvae, and 2 weeks away's moths. So every time he comes down the tree, there are newly hatched moths that are ready to go for a ride on the sloth.
Back up.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Now, the food source of the sloth, they're not eating the sloth himself. They're eating the moss and algae that grow all in the sloth's fur. They also are fertilizing the moss and algae with their waste. So that's one of the theory things, is that the fact that the moths are fertilizing the moss and algae in the sloth's fur make there be more moss and algae, which makes more camouflage from eagles, which are the only thing that can get them in the top of the tree. Now, the known fact about what the sloth benefits from in this relationship is bacteria. So a sloth digests its food primarily by a bacterial process. Now, I'm sure you've seen when he opens his mouth, he has massive sharp teeth. He has a multi-chambered stomach that does more work on his food than our stomachs do on our food, because he's eating really crappy food. But for us, enzymes play a bigger role and bacteria plays a smaller role in our digestive process. For him, it's all about the bacteria. Now, we also have helpful gut bacteria. If our gut bacteria died out, it would be because we took a long course of antibiotics. That's what would kill our gut bacteria. If we did take a long course of antibiotics, probably at the same time he prescribed them, the doctor will tell you need to take some probiotics or some good Greek yogurt when you're done. Now, the sloth doesn't have access to GNC or Publix, so there's no Greek yogurt and there's no probiotics. So the source of his gut bacteria is the moths. So as he grooms himself, he licks up a certain amount of the moths themselves, which are a small protein source, and he licks up a certain amount of the waste of the moths, which is where the bacteria come from that digest his food. He will have approximately 150 moths living in his fur at all times in the wild. So the moths are very, very important to the sloth, and it is a proven fact that if a sloth loses all of his moths, the sloth will die of starvation. What would cause the sloth to lose his moths and his native gut bacteria in his stomach is cold temperature. That's the main thing that would make, there are other reasons, but the main thing would be cold temperature. So we talked about sloths being slow in every way. Say what?
How big are the moths?
Tiny. They're little moths. So that they're not like they're like that. So the other thing about the moths is peptids and leptids, but that's a really in the weeds conversation. You can read about it if you wanted to, but it'd take me the whole half hour to tell you about peptids and leptids. So the sloth, we said he's slow in his digestion, slow in his metabolism. So he metabolizes very slowly. That's a big part of why everything about a sloth is slow. Their food is really low quality, really low energy comes from the food. So he's not only slow in his movement, his metabolism. He does not have the ability to make enough energy from his food to maintain his body temperature. So he is a warm-blooded animal, but his body temperature varies with the outside air temperature. So in the rainforest, the daytime high is in the mid to upper 80s. The nighttime low is in the high 60s. Sorry, I gotta open the gate for these people. 1 second. Hello. Excellent. Stay left where the pond splits the driveway. Turn right on the first gravel drive and come down to the pavilion in between the two barns, and we'll be ready for you at 10:30. All right. So the air temperature of the rainforest goes like this, and his body temperature follows it. So if you get the sloth out of the rainforest and you get him into a cold environment, it's going to kill all the bacteria, kill all the sloths, and the sloth will die a month later of starvation. Not for lack of food, but for lack of ability to digest the food. So the sloths are very important. Other things about how low a sloth's energy level is that the sloth, a mother sloth, can only make milk for her babies for about 3 to 6 weeks. In the case of a two-toed sloth, the mother will stay with the baby for about 3 or 4 months. In the case of a three-toed sloth, they might stay for a year. When the sloth weans its baby, it ditches, leaves the baby in the tree that it was born in and the tree that it stayed in for all of its life. Sloth's ranges are bigger, but when they have a baby with them, they stay in one spot. They teach the baby how to survive in that spot, and then over the sloth's life, its range will expand. But when the mother just bolts and heads out and never comes back, the baby uses the waste pile that the two of them have been using, and that's the one time that a sloth will start over with a different waste pile, is when the mother leaves the baby, she starts a new pile somewhere. Yeah. So other things about a sloth, we said at the very start of this that their vision is horrible and that you don't want to get bit, those two things. So about the vision is horrible, they have a structure of their eyes called rod monochromacy. Mono meaning one, chrome meaning chromatic. So they have all rod cells, no cone cells. So they see only in grayscale. They don't ever see color, they don't have any cone cells, so they couldn't possibly see color. But beyond the fact that they see in black and white, their vision is horrible. It's bad in the day, it's bad in the night. Now it's much, much worse in the day than it is at night, but it's bad all the time. So even in this low level of light we have in here, the sloth is seeing shapes and shadows. He cannot see the difference between me and either one of you because we're approximately all the same size.
Gotcha.
But his sense of smell and hearing is wonderful.
That was my next question.
He knows what I smell like, for better or worse. I always have the same cologne, and in the afternoons I pretty much always smell the same in the summertime. But the sloth knows what I smell like, and he knows what I sound like. So my monotonous voice may not be so great for the camera, but the sloth likes it. So his smell and his hearing are absolutely wonderful. The sloth has big, huge, sharp teeth, and when you see his teeth, you're like, and if an evolution person was to dig up a sloth skeleton and not have seen a live sloth, they surely would come up with an apex predator theory. They have huge, sharp teeth. They have claws that are just massive. They have arms as long as their whole body. And they look like they would just be flying around like a howler monkey and killing everything in sight, right?
Yeah.
You would not dig up the skeleton of this and come up with this as a slow, peaceful animal that's going to spend his whole life hiding until he's eventually caught by a predator and killed. The sloth's teeth, he has no enamel on his teeth. As he opens and closes his mouth, his teeth are sharpening against each other like this. So he's going to live 20 years in the rainforest, give or take. I mean, he's a prey animal, so what he's going to die of is being caught by a predator. But they live approximately 20 years in the rainforest, and they don't have a toothbrush. So it's a good system for them to have always big, strong, sharp teeth. The sloth is just an amazing animal overall. He's a pretty cool dude. This encounter was 2 years in the making because this guy came from an ethical breeder, but he's supplying zoos, not supplying necessarily places like us. Answer them with a message. So this guy was not oriented to people from birth. So for the first 2 years, he was in a static display. You know, other side of a sheet of glass, you could see him. So encounter, it was a year until he decided he would like to eat from my hand more than the bowl. So you can force an animal to eat from your hand, just don't feed him. But how we did it is just pick up a piece of food out of his dish that he's gonna eat anyway and offer it to him. And if he doesn't want it, put it back. And he still gets to eat it. So it took a year until he was comfortable eating from my hand, and then another number of months until he found that he just liked to eat from everybody's hand. And that's what it went into this guy's sloth encounter. Now the baby that you're gonna see next, well, we don't call her the baby anymore. She's 14 months. In 2 days from now, she'll be 14 months. She was raised differently, and Tatum or Kevin will tell you all about that on your next part of this journey. And let me do my disclaimer right now. For those who are watching online, please don't look at what we're doing and get the impression it's a good idea to buy yourself a sloth. All of our sloths are multiple generation captive bred. I'm not aware of any ethical breeder that will sell a sloth to a private individual. And so if you are paying $8,000 or $10,000 for a sloth that you find available for sale online, you are buying an animal that was kidnapped out of the rainforest. Please, please don't do that. And it will not go well for you, it will not go well for the sloth. They're slow enough that you're not likely to suffer physical damage from it, but the sloth is extremely unlikely to have a long and healthy life. And second, if you are looking for a place to encounter a sloth, please look at the place that you're going to do the encounter with. Try to determine if they are operating ethically or not. If they are booking the sloth every 15 minutes for many hours a day, I would recommend you don't do that one. If you see that the sloths are gummy and don't have big, strong, sharp teeth, they have de-toothed the sloth so that it cannot possibly bite you, please don't participate in that. And thanks for watching us today, and we're now going on to part 2 of the VIP sloth encounter. And you guys are going to need to step through this door quickly because Flash will want to go and visit. Oh, the chair's already in there. And it's even hotter in that room than it is in this room, just so as you know. But go on in, and we're ready for your part 2 of the VIP sloth encounter. And are you going in there or staying out here?
Are you doing this one again?
I'm doing this again, and then I'm doing that again.
Okay.
So you could just stay here and then go there, I guess, if you would like.
I'm gonna put one of these in there.
Okay. All right, I'm going to get our second group of people. Paid for the second person, so it gets us. Oh, somebody else bought some, so we're already gold for the day.
Hey guys, I'm gonna give Tatum just a minute to get set up, and then I'm gonna move one of the cameras in there, and then we'll hang out here together with Flash.